Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Dr. Brian Capra from Billing Precision, and we are lucky to have on the phone Dr. Marty Kotler from Target Coding. We have a great synergy between our two companies for our clients. As you know, we're always dedicated to giving you the latest information about compliance and documentation and coding. And Dr. Marty Kotler from Target Coding is one of the foremost experts in that field.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kotler, for joining us today. For those of you who don't know Dr. Kotler, a little bit about Dr. Kotler. He was in practice for 16 years before he started Target Coding about 9 years ago. And since then, he's basically been traveling the country and lecturing at Parker seminars, at foot levelers, at various state associations. He's certified in healthcare compliance, a certified coder.
Part one is the history, which is what we're going to be going through today. Next time, we're going to do examination findings, then the diagnosis, patient clinical goals, services to be rendered, the schedule of care. We're going to go through SOAP notes in Part 7 and reevaluations in Part 8. Part 1, which is the history. The first 6 parts of this webinar series is about creating a treatment plan. Treatment plans are no longer optional. Just about every carrier, including Medicare, wants to see a good quality treatment plan created for every new patient. So it all starts with the patient's first visit to your office. First of all, when the patient walks in the door, they should fill out a good quality health history intake form. This is a form that should have proper information, and I'm going to share with you what information should be on it that will allow you to substantiate the code you're billing just by having a good quality intake form. I'll share that with you in a couple of minutes. Now, along with a good quality intake form, the patient should be filling out any other pertinent forms in your practice, like HIPAA forms, patient privacy forms, assignment of benefits, authorization to release information. You may have specialized forms if the patient's been in a car accident. If you take care of a lot of kids, you may have a separate form for pediatric chiropractic services. So after all the forms are filled out, now we're going to have these 6 items that should be performed on the first visit, and that's the history, exam, diagnosis, short and long-term goals, list of services to be rendered, and the clinical rationale as to why, and the visit schedule. You see, when I talk to a lot of chiropractors, when I say, well, tell me about your treatment plan, they typically say, oh, well, I tell patients to come in 3 times a week for 4 weeks, and then 2 times a week for 8 weeks, and then 1 time a week for 12 weeks, and that's my treatment plan. Well, that's not a treatment plan. That's number 6 if you look on the screen here, you'll see the visit schedule. That's just one part of a treatment plan. Just giving out the frequency and duration of care is not a treatment plan. So I want people to understand that treatment plan is important. Here we go. We're going to start with step 1, which is the history. There are 4 types of histories: problem-focused history, expanded problem-focused, detailed, and comprehensive. Now, the information that I'm going to be sharing with you is based on guidelines. There are evaluation and management guidelines that were created by the AMA and CMS many years ago. These are the ones that Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, State Farm, Allstate, all the major carriers use these guidelines. So you want to make sure that you're aware of them and you start using them so you can justify the services you're billing, and you can appeal if you ever get denied. First step is figuring out which history that you perform. So I'm going to concentrate on the detailed history because that's the most commonly billed new patient code, 99203. So what is a detailed history? I'll tell you what it is. It must include a chief complaint, 4 HPIs or history of present illnesses, 2 to 9 systems must be reviewed, and at least 1 past history, family history, or social history must be part of your documentation for the first visit. So it must include a chief complaint, which is a concise statement describing the symptom, condition, diagnosis, or other factors that are the reason for the encounter, usually stated in the patient's own words. So Mrs. Jones walks into your office and says she has low back pain. Well, there you go. There's the chief complaint. Now you have to provide 4 items. If you're going to be billing out 99203, it requires 4 items to be documented about the presenting problem. So in chiropractic college, you may have been taught the OPQRST, similar to the HPI, which is the history of present illness. So the location, quality, is it dull, throbbing, aching, burning? Is it intermittent? Is it, you can give it a pain scale. What makes it worse? What makes it better? You need to document 4 of those. That's pretty easy for most chiropractic practices. This one is easy to do, but it's oftentimes skipped. I've reviewed a lot of files, probably thousands of files over the last 9 years as a certified coder, and when I look at files, I very rarely see the doctor hitting the review of system points. So 99203 requires that you review at least 2 to 9 systems with the patient. Now, this is not an examination. This is just questioning the patient about systems in the body. So if any of you on the line this morning or listening to this are billing 99204, then you must document that you reviewed 10 systems with the patient. 203, it's a minimum of 2 all the way up to 9. So this is what I ask every new patient. Okay, Mr. Jones, any problems in the past, or do you presently have problems with any cardiac, respiratory, GI, or GU issues? And if the patient says no, then I'll write down ROS, the patient-related, no present or past cardiac, respiratory, GI, or GU problems. And in that one sentence, I was able to cover 4 systems. Now, a good quality intake questionnaire, like I mentioned earlier, will have these systems listed, usually on the back of the page. On page 2, it'll list, do you have any problems with your heart, lungs, or, constipation, diarrhea, allergies, fever, chills, diarrhea, constipation, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and patients should check those off. And now, if you review that form, write down in your documentation that you reviewed the form, or write on the form, write that you reviewed it, and you'll get credit for review of systems. That's something that most doctors are missing. They have the form, but they don't acknowledge it. You need to acknowledge the form. Next is the PFSH, and this is just going through, again, a good quality intake form will list these items. So it might say, have you ever been in an accident, any trauma to the spine, any, do you smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol, anything like that? You need at least 1 of those. For 99204, you need 3. Here's a quick chart summarizing the codes. You'll see we just went through a 203. Now, this is just the history. There are 3 key components to billing out new patient codes. Key component number 1 is the history, component number 2 is the exam, and component number 3 is medical decision making. Here we have just the history, 203. You'll see it's about 30 minutes. 1 chief complaint, 4 HPIs, 2 to 9 systems being reviewed, and 1 PFSH. The next slide is pretty comprehensive. You could probably even get away with a 204 if you stretched it. And this is Emily, comes in with severe headaches and neck pain, and here are all the HPIs. She said it started suddenly 3 months ago. She fell while bicycle riding and hit her neck and right shoulder against the ground, and her head got jolted very hard. So I take you through the HPIs. You only need 4. I've given you probably about 12 here. And you want to use these as your baseline numbers, like the pain scales, and, she cannot sit at the computer for more than 10 minutes. You'll see how I integrate that in future steps when we get to goals. Here's more HPIs. And then we have the last portion here, which is the review of systems. She related no present or past cardiac, respiratory, gastrointestinal, genitourinary problems. Patient has no past history of spinal trauma or surgery. Patient stated that her mother has osteoarthritis and osteoporosis. Patient smokes 1 pack of cigarettes per week. Target coding, for those of you on the line that are interested in learning more about what we do seminars, we do webinars, we have membership programs. I've written 8 books on billing, coding, and documentation for chiropractors and physical therapists. We have CDs, DVDs. We offer customizable forms and templates. It could all be checked out at www.targetcoding.com, or if you'd like to give us a call and have any questions about our products and services, telephone number is 1-800-270-7044.